All right, back here at the Kingdom, one of our favorite places. Obviously, Matt, thanks again for taking the time.
Mark,
Welcome back to the show. You're a regular with us. Okay, new P790. Before we get into the changes, what's different, all the new technology, let's just talk about the history. This is the 5th generation of this iron, and it really kind of redefined the marketplace. It created its own category, and everybody decided they were going to do something too and try to catch up. It's a lot of pressure to reinvent an iron that is so some people would say perfect. I don't want to take it on my bag. Please don't touch it. But you guys got to do it, and you have to improve. So walk us through just how that feels at the start and the pressure of it.
Okay, yeah, so you talk about the pressure. Well, that pressure doesn't feel so insurmountable when you have the best R&D team in the business. And we have had a lot of success. P790 has become obviously an iconic club for TaylorMade, but really one of those iconic clubs for golf. 4 generations of leadership. We're into the 5th generation now. And in order to be able to keep pushing that performance, you have to have design breakthroughs. We have new optimization tools for sound, feel, performance. We have new face materials that allows us to do different things with the face to make it a little bit faster, and that's going to drive more consistency, more distance, and the feel aspect as well, new tools there. So again, our R&D team, every time we solve a past problem, you kind of have a new lens to look through as you go into the future. You say, how do I continue to push towards perfection, even though perfection is unattainable?
Okay, before we get into some features, because we're talking cambered sole, we're talking faster face, we're talking progressive center of gravity, which I absolutely love, because you get these short irons, and you compare these short irons to the 1st generation of a P790, and it is light and day difference here. It is, like, to me, I noticed a huge improvement hitting wedges and 9 irons yesterday.
Love that.
But before we get to that, a club's got to look good. And I said to you yesterday, I said, Matt, did this club get smaller? It didn't. It just got better looking.
Yeah, so there's some nice shaping upgrades here with this P790, and it starts with a little bit thinner top line. So we just kind of like tightened up that look in the playing position. One of the things that's unique about P790 is it appeals to the eye of your better players, your low single digits commonly in this, and then all the way up to like 15, even sometimes 20 handicap. So it's got to look aspirational but inviting, and we've just kind of tightened it up a little bit. And you kind of alluded to the sole geometry redesign there. It's progressive in nature, again putting performance where the player needs it. And that includes both the long irons and the wedges, which you experienced yesterday.
Okay, before we get to speed, because everybody likes the speed, everybody wants to hit it further. That's we'll talk about the face, but you just brought up the sole. Walk us through how this sole and the new camber interacts with the turf and how it's different.
Yeah, happily. So again, through a lot of studies that our R&D team has done with sole curvature, we found that if you increase the sole curvature from heel to toe, you can actually control the impact location on the club face. So when you're long irons, where you really need to get that higher launch and you want a little bit more consistency is hard to obtain, we increase that sole radius, and then again, you get better launch conditions. Now, as you work through the set, we want that iron to have a straight leading edge in the playing position. This is, after all, a P series product. It needs to look like a player shape. The bevel leading edge allows us to have that look visually while also giving incredible turf interaction at the same time. So that progresses through the set. Every sole is individually designed.
Matt, I was talking about how great this looked, right? But that's your first reaction to a golf club. Your second reaction to a golf club is immediately how it feels. And you've worked on the feel, and a lot of that over the years, there's been a lot of research about sound and feel and how they relate. So what's new in this package?
Yeah, I mean, first you want to have players fall in love with the club before they ever hit it, but after they have that first sensation of impact, you really, really want to fall in love with how it feels. And as these faces get faster, we have to do a lot of work to make sure that we make P790 continue to not just feel great, but feel better. And we've done that through different optimization tools and everything like that. And really the best way to showcase this is, like, yes, beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, you have a lot of technology happening inside this. So we control sound and the way that the club vibrates by stiffening different areas of the internal section of this club. So we do that with every single iron to make sure that we are in a substantially better spot than in the past. So these feel solid but yet explosive, which is what you've been experiencing on the range.
And I think one thing that we should probably touch on, especially looking at the inside of that club, is that you are designing each iron individually in this set, where those positions of those bars are, where you're moving CG, where you're moving that reinforcement is different from a 4-iron to a pitching wedge.
Yeah, I mean, they don't perform the same, so it doesn't make sense that they would have the same design internally. We have to be very smart and efficient with where we're placing mass to get that incredible feel, and at the same time get those CGs in the right spot so you can have your optimal launch windows.
Okay, let's talk speed. Because now, everybody's like, oh, yeah, it feels good. I want to hit it further. I want to hit it higher. I want to hit it better. this is the fastest face that you've ever had in a P790.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And this is a player's distance product. So we know distance is important to this player. And this new face material is 20% stronger. It means we can go thinner, it means we can go faster, which does generate more distance, which is great. But one of the things I love for players is how much bigger the sweet spot is getting. Up to 24% larger means you're getting that distance more consistently. And that's something so important for this player.
And that's something, you know, we talk about quite a bit. People are scared sometimes to go to an iron like a P790 because they hear like the stories about hot spots. Oh, you know, I want my 8-iron to go this number. I don't need it to go this number sometimes. And with this new face and that larger sweet spot, you've kind of put a bow and solved that. I don't want to call it a problem, but certainly something that was on the radar of someone making this club decision. They don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, the idea of the hotspot has really kind of been the Achilles heel of forged hollow body products across the industry. And it's something that we've kept in our crosshairs with every generation, and every generation we've gotten better. The way that you really kind of start to eliminate that is you control where the sweet spot is, and you want it lower in the face, which is why we've driven these CGs down throughout the different generations. But you also want to make it as large as possible. So you're getting that number, that distance, that fast face speed as much as you possibly can. And that's where that 24% increase in the new P790 is so impactful.
Okay, the wins for me on this iron, the first thing is I love the way it looked. I mean, this is such a clean iron. If you can play an iron this clean with all that technology, I mean, you're not giving up anything here. You're getting something that looks great, feels great, and then you get all of it kind of packed in there. But there's something that you can't see that's happening in the inside that I alluded to at the start of our little piece here is the CG moving. The fact that the pitching wedge and the 4-iron are kind of coming out almost in a similar window. You know, the 4-iron and long irons are getting up easier, and the pitching wedge and the 9-iron and the 8-iron are coming, and they're kind of all meeting in that mid-range. That is a huge win to be able to control your traj, your ball flight. Walk us through this floating CG.
Yeah, so really, I love the story and the concept of flighted CG because it's so intuitive for players. If I were to ask you, what's the hardest iron to launch in the air?
4-iron.
And is the 4-iron the longest iron you carry?
Yes.
Commonly the answer, right? And this makes sense. And then what does a low center of gravity give you?
Well, it should help me get the ball off the turf easier.
Exactly. So where do you want your lowest center of gravity?
In your long irons.
Yes, intuitive. And then so we fight to do that, and indeed we got a lower CG than we've had in the past in the long irons here. But you mentioned how we specifically raise that CG as you work through the set. And that's to build in more spin and control the trajectory, just like you're talking about, because you want spin to control your ball flight and to be able to stop on the green and really attack those pins. And that's what these short irons and stuff have really been designed to do. Higher CG in the short irons, lower CG in the long irons with optimal launch and spin.
Well, we started this piece with how do you make the game's best player improvement iron better? It's simple. You make it more forgiving, you make it faster off the face, you give it better interaction with the turf, and you can control your launch conditions better. I think you did it, Matt. Congratulations, and thanks for your time.
Yeah.